Hi, today I want to talk about liberty. The leftists movement in this country and around the world, or specifically in this country actually, has hijacked the term liberalism and liberal. If you think about the leftists' agenda today, it has precious little to do with liberty, if anything. It's mostly a statist agenda that advocates more and more intrusion, government's intrusion into our lives. The ability of government to decide what we can and cannot do, what we can and cannot own, whether we can keep our property and how much of that property. So, what's liberal about today's liberalism? That's why I actually don't like using the term liberal to describe the leftist agenda. Statist is a much more accurate term because, again, the majority of that agenda is aligned perfectly with giving the government more and more role and ability to control our lives, whereas classical liberalism is about individuals' liberty, individuals' freedom, the freedom to choose whatever they want to do with their lives, their bodies, and their property. How it happened, basically, late in the 19th century and around the turn of the century and early 20th century, the leftists have begun to equate liberty, or rather redefine liberty, from moving it from the meaning of freedom from other people's and institutions' intrusion into your life, freedom from being compelled to do something you don't want to do, compelled by other people and institutions, most importantly the state. They have begun to move that meaning to redefine freedom as freedom from want, freedom from economic need, freedom from poverty, and things of that nature. Let's think about this for a moment. Can you really advocate for freedom from want? I mean, on the face of it, it's a pretty compelling offer. If somebody says, vote for me and you'll never need anything, you'll never want for anything, you will be able to defeat poverty in your life, that's pretty compelling to some of us, to the weaker individuals that feel that perhaps they're inadequately equipped to deal with the reality of the world around them and economically and socially build a life for themselves that they desire. But is there really such a thing as freedom from want? See, the way I understand liberty is no matter what anybody does around you, no matter what other people think or say or do, you have your liberty. Your liberty is your inalienable right, as defined in the Declaration of Independence, very aptly described there. No matter what other people think or say or want to do or do, your freedom should be intact. Unless, of course, you violate the freedoms of others. In which case you will be breaking the law and then other rules apply to you. That's natural. But so no matter what anybody does, you have your freedom. Let's think about freedom from economic need, or freedom from poverty. Can we really say that no matter what anybody else does, you can be guaranteed your freedom from poverty? You see, if you don't work, if you don't do something for others that they value enough to pay you for it, you will not have the means to sustain your life or to enhance your circumstances. Now, are we really saying to people that no matter what you do, you're going to have the things that you need or want? Like physical things, economic things? Is that what we're really saying here? Can that be true? See, if you don't do anything, and other people don't do anything, don't produce anything, don't work, where's the wealth going to come from to sustain, a standard of living that you desire? So there is no true freedom from want in that sense. That freedom is not guaranteed. That freedom is predicated on either yourself or other people doing things, right? That's not the same as individual liberty, as in, life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, is it? It's absolutely not the same. You see, it's trickery, it's wordplay. But people have been buying this trickery for almost a century now. I forget who it was, but one of the statist intellectual leaders during the first third of the 20th century said in the U.S., I forget who it is, I have to look it up, Americans will never accept socialism, but if you term it liberalism, they'll accept anything. They'll accept any and all parts of a socialist agenda if you call it liberalism, which is essentially what they have done. See, the leftists and the statists always ask the wrong question. They ask the question, what is the cause of poverty? Where does poverty come from? Well, you see, poverty is our natural condition. If you just sit on your ass and do nothing, you're going to have poverty. You don't have to do anything special to get poverty. Poverty is your natural state. And when I say natural, I mean a state that you will arrive at without doing anything. So asking where does poverty come from is the wrong question. The right question would be, where does wealth come from? Wealth comes from work. Wealth comes from actively applying yourself to better your circumstances, to influence the world around you, to enhance your living conditions, your standards of living. So wealth comes from work. Poverty doesn't need to come from anywhere. Poverty is here, guys. Poverty is what we're born into, in a way. If everybody just sat down and stopped working and stopped doing anything active in this world, we would have universal poverty. So the question is always, where does wealth come from? That's the better question to ponder. And if you think in these terms, and begin to think in these terms, you will quickly see very simple but powerful truths about our existence. It's like, distribution, redistribution of wealth. And obviously, these are quotes from some of the smarter people, intellectual leaders of the conservative movement, like Thomas Sowell. Thomas Sowell likes to say, wealth is not something that is distributed. Wealth is something that is earned. Okay? Newspapers are distributed. Milk used to be distributed. But wealth is first and foremost earned by people who work. So do not let statists and leftists define freedom incorrectly. Define freedom as freedom from economic want. They will always argue with you, well, without the freedom from economic want, what other freedom is there? What's freedom without, when you're hungry and naked and don't have shelter? What's freedom to you then? But that's the thing. It's up to every single one of us to better our conditions if we're not satisfied with what we got. It's up to us. It's not up to anybody else. We should not be, cannot be guaranteed a certain level of standard of living. Think about it. A couple of 100 years ago, even the kings in this world didn't have what people living below poverty levels in the U.S. have today. They didn't have indoor plumbing. They didn't have affordable clothing in the variety and quality that exists today. They didn't have cars that could take you anywhere you want to go fairly inexpensively. They didn't have mobile phones. They didn't have color TVs. None of those things existed. Okay? People lived for the greater part of human history, with the exception of the last couple of 100 years. People always lived. 99.99999% of the Earth's population always lived in abject poverty. Did you see anybody in the 13th century protesting poverty? Did you see demonstrations, around the Palace of Versailles or the Houses of Parliament in London, demonstrations protesting poverty? People holding candlelight vigils to protest poverty? No, poverty was part of life. Poverty was what everybody was basically born into. Most people were born into, lived their entire lives, and died in. Okay? It is only recently, after the Industrial Revolution and the spread of liberty in England and then the United States, and the spread of capitalism, created this new standard of living that we're so accustomed to today, that people started paying attention and thinking, oh, it's actually bad to live in poverty when you know that you can live in wealth. So don't let people hijack the truth. And when you're conversing with people, when you talk about liberty, always keep in mind that liberty from economic want is an illusion. It's a lie. It's a utopia. We defy poverty and defeat poverty every day by working, just as we defy gravity by flying modern airplanes. Thanks, and see you soon.